Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today I just want to have a quick chat about something that I do in my paintings quite a lot and the reasons behind it, and that's using a lot of drawing marks when I'm painting. I like to mix up the materials and also the tools that I use when I'm painting, and not just in my collage work and work on paper, but in my finished paintings on canvas or board as well. I use different tools for different purposes, and specifically the drawing marks. I really think they add a lot of movement and energy to the paintings, but also they can create a rhythm within the painting to not just define objects or shapes like you might think of in a kind of traditional drawing way, but also to guide your eye around the image. So I'll just have a quick look at some of the paintings that I've got here, some of my finished paintings and some of the work in my sketchbook, and then I'll do a little bit of work as well. Before we get started, I'd just like to remind you I have an online membership group and it's free to join for the first month. It's been going for a year now, so on there's 12 months worth of project videos, tutorials, Q&A sessions, and there's also a Facebook community group where you can upload your work and talk about it with all the other members. So if you're interested in that, do check out the link that's on the screen. You may have seen me working on this piece in one of my previous videos, and if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link up here for you to go back and have a watch of that one. But it's a piece that I was working on a large sheet of paper originally, and then I've cropped it down and put some collage in. So that's what's happened to arrive at this kind of very energetic surface that I've got at the moment. But what I want to talk about in this video particularly is these drawing marks that I like to use in my paintings. Now on here there's quite a lot of different types of drawing marks. There's some watercolor pencils. This is actually oil pastel. There's some soft pastels as well. And I think even some of these scratches and little marks that I put in where I'm scraping into the paper could count towards that. But in particular, I was just talking in the intro there about how the rhythm of these marks can guide your eye around the painting. And I think this mark in particular works well for that. It's a kind of big scribble mark that I had on the larger piece of paper, and I've actually cropped it out and put this piece down here, but it had these marks on it. What I liked about it was this big kind of swooping line that runs through here. So there's a lot going on this painting, and towards the bottom here it gets quite light. And I think sometimes if you have that kind of lighter areas or areas where there's not a huge amount going on towards the edge of your paintings, there's a tendency for your eye when you're looking at the painting to sort of drift away, and the attention, your attention gets lost. It doesn't, it's not retained within the image. So I think marks like this are quite useful for that, because as it loops down, it's sort of starts up here somewhere, but it loops down and your eye's kind of following, sort of subconsciously almost following this line around, and it kind of links back up sort of slightly accidentally with another part of that mark here, and it just brings your eye back round into the painting. So that's a really nice thing to do sometimes, to have these marks and drawn lines on the paintings that actually guide your eye around the image and keep your attention within the surface of the painting, rather than having things that distract your attention and pull your eye out of the image. It kind of keeps your attention in there. So that's what I mean in this video when I'm talking about drawing, rather than drawing as in trying to depict something. So I do this sort of thing on my larger paintings as well. This is canvas. It's about 1 meter by 120, and it's got some marks on here in soft pastel. And there's actually some writing, and it's not really meant to be legible, but it's quite a nice way of making a mark. If I'm thinking about things while I'm painting, I'll make these written notes on the surface, and if they survive, they can be quite interesting drawing marks. They add energy and interest to the surface. So I'm using these kind of things in different ways. What I thought I might do is grab these little paintings here and do a bit of work on them. These are on gesso panels, and there's quite a lot of paint on them already. But I'll just do a bit of painting, and you can see how I'm using these drawing marks as part of the painting process, rather than thinking of them as something separate. If you're enjoying these videos, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and also hit the like button. It makes a big difference, and I appreciate every single one. Okay. different stages now, obviously, but as you can see, I was just doing a couple of quick layers of painting and using different types of paint, different materials to create different marks on the surfaces. I think these oil pastels can be quite useful because obviously they'll resist the water-based paint that's going on over the top. So as you can see, I was putting the oil pastel down, putting some paint over it and then scraping back through it, and the oil pastel stays there. So you can see the mark, but the mark isn't just sitting on the surface. It's not like a drawn mark like this. It's just kind of sitting on the top of the surface. It's getting embedded into the surface and creating an extra layer. So I really like working like that, building up layers, trying to get some depth to the surface. And obviously I was using some different types of drawing materials as well. I was using these watercolor pencils and also some soft pastel. People often say to me, how do you get the soft pastel to not smudge and stop it falling off? Well, throughout the course of the painting, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't let that worry me. I was putting some of the pastel down and then got lightly working over the top of it, and that sort of seals it in, and I try to be fairly light with it so I'm not smudging everything the whole time. But also throughout, towards the end of the painting, I often use a bit of oil paint and a bit of oil painting media, a bit of varnish, and everything just gets sealed in. So throughout the course of this sort of stage of paintings, I never worry about things smudging or anything like that. I just try to be light with it, try to retain what's there as much as possible, but just keep painting. I find that if you spend the whole time worrying about what's going to happen at the end of the painting or what it's going to look like at the end, then you kind of inhibit your creativity. And just what I want to do is just get on with it, keep making the marks and see if I find something that really interests me on the surface. I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously I was just having a play and a muck about, nothing serious, just showing you some of the marks and the way I like to use these kind of drawing materials to add interest to the surface of the painting. As I was saying earlier, if you're interested in my online membership group, please do check out the link that's here on the screen. It's a lot of fun, there's loads of stuff on there, and it's free for the first month, so you can try it out with no obligation. Okay, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.